Alright guys, we're gonna try this again. This is my second time shooting this because my video stopped in the middle of my shooting it last time. So, hi, I'm Tara from Recovering Book Hoarder, and this is my second Nonfiction November recommendation video. Nonfiction November is a readathon, a month-long readathon that is brought to us by Olive over at Olive Reads a Lot. And I adore her channel. She pretty much, like, I would say, specializes in nonfiction. She's also from Pittsburgh, just like I am. And she's has a great channel. So if you've never seen her channel, please go over and check it out. I will have her linked down below in the description box. So this is one of my favorite readathons because I also absolutely adore nonfiction, and I read nonfiction every single month. The whole point of Nonfiction November is to increase the amount of nonfiction that you read. So even if you read just one nonfiction book, then you are technically participating in Nonfiction November. So, Olive comes up with categories to make it a little easier to help plan your TBR if you need some help. My previous video, I'm doing 3 of these recommendation videos. My previous video was 4 and 5 star recommendations based on books I've already read, which I'll go ahead and link up here in the cards. This video is going to be recommendations from my Amazon wish list. So these are essentially the books that I would read if I had an endless supply of money and could go out and buy the 20 books, you know, just to have something new to read, because God knows I need it, right? So I don't actually have any of these. I will be putting their picture over here. I have them written down in my journal, and I'm also going to be referencing my actual wish list because, like I said, I've not read any of these books. So some of them, it's been a long time since I have read their description. So I may need to refer to my actual wish list just to refresh my memory a bit about what they are. But these are all books that have been on my list. There's a couple that are newer to my list because they're new releases. I have one that's actually on my list that's coming out November 2nd. So this was actually fun to put together, kind of like going back and revisiting my wish list. All right. So the 4 categories that Olive came up with for this year's Nonfiction November are collection, industry, style, and treatment. And she makes these very broad categories, and you can interpret them however you want to. So I will try and explain why I chose the category that I did for them as we go along. So book number 1 underneath collection, we'll start there, is Books Make a Home by Damian Thompson, and this is Elegant Ideas for Storing and Displaying Books. And this is a gigantic book. Really, it's shaped more like a coffee table book, but it is full of, like, just beautiful bookshelves and ideas on how to store the books in your home. And I have a Pinterest board that's like this, and I feel like I just need it in my life, you know what I mean? Number 2, oh, and obviously books are a collection item, so that is why it got chosen for this. All right, number 2 is a collection of essays, and that is called Wow, No Thank You by Samantha Irby. And this is supposed to be absolutely hysterical. The blurbs that are on this book make it sound like something that I need to read, you know, like whenever I'm having a rough day and need a good laugh. Because from what I understand, it is like if you're drinking something, you risk spitting it out while you're drinking it because it's that funny. It will make you laugh out loud, even if you're sitting in a room by yourself. Number 3. So this book is a collection of things that people have come up with. And it is called Who Ate the First Oyster? The Extraordinary People Behind the Greatest First in History by Cody Cassidy. And my Cassidy and my daughter and I are always saying to each other, who do you think came up with this? Like, For example, as I'm sitting crocheting, I always think to myself, who is the first person that thought, oh, I'll bet if we take some of this yarn over here and we use a random hook, that we can do it this particular way and make it turn into something amazing. Like, who comes up with these things? I need to know. What's the story behind it? And this book is the story behind it. All right, number 4 under collection is I Left the House Today, comics by Cassandra Callan. So this is a collection of comics. And if I remember correctly, Cassandra is a introvert, just like me. And she has a really hard time leaving the house, just like me. Like, sometimes they get me to leave the house to do anything other than go to work. And even then, sometimes it's hard to get me to leave the house to do that. You know, it can be really hard. And so when I saw that she had this collection of comics about like celebrating the fact that she actually got up, got ready, left the house that day, I was like, I need that in my life. All right, number 5 is This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. And this is Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor. And Stephen Fry blurbs this and says, painfully funny. And I have a feeling that this is going to be slightly scary to read about some of these things that happen that this junior doctor sees whenever he is, you know, first starting out. And so it's a collection of stories about his time as a junior doctor. And I need that in my life. All right, moving into our next category, that is industry. So I have, 5 books recommendations under here. First recommendation is Becoming Myself, a Psychiatrist Memoir by Irvin D. Yalom. And so this is, the industry here is the mental health industry. And he, as a psychiatrist, is used to psychoanalyzing other people, to treating, diagnosing other people. And in this book, he turns the table and takes a deeper look at himself. And I am all in for that. Okay, my second recommendation under this category is Danny Kaye, King of Jesters by David Koenig. And Danny Kaye, for those of you who don't know, was Bing Crosby's other half in White Christmas, which is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. And his character is fabulous in that movie. And so this is a behind the scenes look at the making of the movies that he was in. So we're really looking at the filmmaking industry here and, his life during that time. All right, my third recommendation under industry takes a closer look at the news industry. And that is Ticking Clock, Behind the Scenes at 60 Minutes by Ira Rosen. Now, Ira Rosen was the producer of 60 Minutes. And I don't know about you, but like I can so clearly hear that intro to 60 Minutes in my head because it was such a huge part of my life whenever I was growing up. It was always on in like your grandparents' house or your parents were watching it. I think it was on Sunday nights. And they used to talk about the types of things that I was interested in. So when I saw that this book had come out, I thought that it just sounded so very interesting and I needed to be able to read it. All right, our next recommendation is No Man's Land by Wendy Moore. This is a book about the trailblazing women who ran Britain's most extraordinary military hospital during World War I. I don't know about you guys, but I know that, there's a lot of nurses. Always in military, there's always a lot of nurses. But back in World War I, you always assumed that it was the men that ran, like doctors that ran the military hospitals during the war, and not the case. Apparently it was the women. And so I think that this will be a fascinating behind the scenes look at what that was like for them during that time and help us to recognize some of the amazing things that these women did. My last recommendation underneath the industry category is A Honeybee Heart Has 5 Openings, A Year of Keeping Bees by Helen Jukes. And this is the story of a woman who was having a tough time in her life, a lot of questions about her future, and she ends up being introduced to the industry of beekeeping and decides to take a year and focus on doing that. And this is what she learns during that time. And I find honeybees to be very fascinating. I love to color them. I like to cross stitch them. It's one of the main symbols in one of my favorite books, which is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. And I'm looking forward to reading this at some point. All right, moving into the next category, which is style. First one on this list is Queen Elizabeth II and the Royal Family, A Glorious Illustrated History. And this is put out by DK Publishing. And I mean, it doesn't get much more stylish than the Royal Family. Am I right? This looks like just an absolutely beautiful, pretty sure this is another one that's like a coffee table type book, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. All right, the next one is Skincare by Carolyn Hirons, and this is, you know, style-wise, keeping your face and your skin healthy. And I know that I personally need some help in this area, and this is supposed to be like the definitive guide to that. And I have been wanting to get this one for a really long time. Next up is a fairly new release, and that is Hooked: How Crafting Saved My Life by Sutton Foster. So style, crafting, yes please. And the cover of this, I mean, the cover is so cute. She's like sitting in a whole bunch of yarn. And it's all about how she was having a really tough time in her life and how crafting essentially saved her life, and how it can work in such a positive way in your life as well. All right, number 4 is Taste: My Life Through Food by Stanley Tucci. Number 1, Stanley Tucci himself is quite the style icon, I think. And but this one is looking at food, and I believe food should fall under the category of style, because if you're doing it right, you eat with your eyes first. Am I right? I'm right. So I think this sounds really, really interesting. This is also quite a new release also. All right, and then my finest one on this list is We're All a Mess, It's Okay: a collection of funny essays and one-liners about the struggles of everyday life. And I mean, look at that picture. Talk about style, right? And I mean, mess is a type of style. We're a mess. So I figure this falls under here too. And again, it's funny. If you guys can't see, I love humorous type of books, amongst so many others, but I feel like I need laughter in my life at this point. So I think this sounds like it would just be really good. All right, moving on to our final category of treatment. We are going to start this section out with Address Book. This is by Deidre Mask, and it's What Street Addresses Reveal About Identity, Race, Wealth, and Power. And this just sounds fascinating to me. This one was released a few years ago. I want to say like 2020. Just came out last year, 2020. And you know, this sounds very educational, but interesting at the same time. I don't think it's going to be a dry read at all. Okay, moving on to my next recommendation under here. And that is The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read and Your Children Will Be Glad That You Did by Philippa Perry. And this is not supposed to be, I remember seeing reviews about this, this is not supposed to be a knock against your parents. And listen, my parents were freaking amazing. Still are. I shouldn't say were. They are. They're amazing. But they were amazing when I was growing up. Like, I seriously could not ask for better parents. This is not about that. It's more like relation to parenting today. It provides tools, straightforward and manageable, if not always easy, that can be implemented at once. Honest, warm, and judgment-free. Hugely warm, wise, hopeful, encouraging. Yeah, the whole book is a message of non-judgmental kindness. And don't we all need a little bit more of that in our lives? All right, number 4, Stop Walking on Eggshells by Paul T. Mason and Randy Krieger. Taking your life back when someone you care about has borderline personality disorder. And we all deal with people that have BPD in our lives. You might not know it, But if you look at symptomology, I am sure that you can go, oh, maybe that's what's going on with this person. And it can be really quite stressful to everyone that has to interact with that person, but it may be someone that you love. And so I think that this book will be quite helpful in an everyday practical manner. All right, last recommendation for this category and for this video in general is this is the one that comes out November 2nd, and this is called Your Head is a Houseboat by Campbell Walker, aka Struthless. And he has a YouTube channel, which I will link down below. I found him because he has this amazing video about therapeutic journaling, and it was so good that I shared it with therapists I work with so that they could share it with their clients in session to help them understand different ways of therapeutic journaling. And while I was watching that video, I came across that he had written a book, and it looks so good. The most important and accessible mental health book in a generation.
One moment.
Alexa's talking to me. So anyway, I think it looks excellent, and I want to support him as he is a fellow YouTuber. I will link his, I'm going to put the link to that therapeutic journaling video down below in my box because it was really good. And he's just really interesting to watch too. So check him out. All right, guys. So that is my recommendations from my wish list. Do you think that any of these sound interesting? Are you going to be participating in Nonfiction November? I would love to hear. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's get to know each other. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to find me other places, everywhere I can be found on the interwebs is down below in the description box. All right, guys, I will catch up with you later. Bye.